All right. Hopefully you can hear me. I hope you guys all had a wonderful day. Today we're going to talk about how should humans interact with complex AI systems in space. I just thought it was an interesting topic out of the choices that we had. That's why I chose it. I don't know. Um, but not to sound robotic, but let's just get into the prior module concepts that I found pertinent in this case. Number one, informed consent is going to be a big deal because astronauts are going to, have to have a full understanding of how the AI systems work and the risks that they are constantly going to be assessing and, adapting to. In order for these astronauts to have a proper amount of information to make their decisions on whether or not they want to be accompanied with this or whether they want to be a part of space travel with the AI. Secondly, I would say utilitarianism is kind of a cop out, but I guess it is associated in the situation, in my opinion, because we should be probably trying to delegate the tasks to AI that are going to be, the least uh, risky things, or at least figuring out that, oh, delegating this task to AI is going to be, on average, safer than if we kept it under human or strict human control, for example. It doesn't have to be binary, one or the other, but and of course, I doubt it would be, but in this situation, let's think of it that way. And I would say, thirdly, something like transhumanism is kind of interesting in this situation because integrating AI with human cognitive or physical systems raises concerns about you know blurred identities almost, in my opinion, where um, I guess from a perspective of human consciousness, are we going to be able to upload this into the AI, or is the AI going to have such a good understanding of the physical ongoings of the mind to the point where they're almost predicting thoughts of the space goers or travelers or whatever we're considering them for this conversation? I think that's an interesting thing because um, will we see a point where it gets to such a good system that we're able to map everything chemically and physically from the human mind and then convert it into some kind of computer system or something that alters the way that human consciousness is fundamentally made up? I don't know. Anyway, uh, to get into how risk shapes this answer, I would say that obviously our risk tolerance is extremely low. It might be the lowest it's ever been, and ethical scrutiny has to be really, really high in this case, as they usually go hand in hand, kind of a negative correlation. Um, any kind of slight error in anything could be fatal. And this doesn't talk about just acute instances. This can be generational things. Like if we say that we miscalculate oxygen flow from an AI system for an extended period of time, or it makes some strange, flawed medical recommendation for the passengers, for example, I don't know what. And I guess it's kind of silly to guess what, but um, something like that could honestly have an effect on, you know, gamete production and the viability of offspring, in my opinion. That's purely predictive, but I would assume that that would be the case. So things need to be taken care of really well in space to try to not screw up the evolutionary, system that's gotten us here. Unless we can figure out a way to definitively say this is good for us or bad for us or something along those lines. And then to discuss whether space is ethically different, I would say yes. I guess it's funny to use the term universally. Universally, ethics should be pretty constant, but they become a little bit more warped in space, in my opinion, because something like AI is going to be not just like a tool; it's going to be like a guardian or like a. I'm reminded of. I'm so sorry, but I'm reminded of in Coheed and Cambria when the All Mother interacts with the guy. I'm really sorry. Anyway, where it's kind of a decision maker, and it really does make life and death decisions. Um, there are extreme conditions in space that the human body and mind are not accustomed to whatsoever, and allowing it to help us is good, and it will probably help us progress. Excuse me, but should it be able to make medical triage decisions if a crew member is unconscious? Like, should it monitor mental health and intervene if someone is at risk of something like psychosis? I think that's where it gets kind of fussy, I guess, because they're not really far off hypotheticals. They're very real possibilities. Um, and as AI becomes more complex, we're going to see these, ethical frameworks kind of shift over time to fit the mold that they should be in. Um, but I think that the best way to judge it is whether it preserves human autonomy and, just like utilitarianism, keeps the risks low and the chance for good high. And then thirdly, I would say that we need to find a system that ensures accountability of these AI, you know, flight assistant people or computer systems. Because if we put too much in their hands, who's to say that it doesn't get too centralized to the point where we are almost delegating our decisions to the AI on how we should use the AI? I'm sorry that got a little weird, but that's my thoughts. And it's all predictive, so it seems kind of strange, but I don't know. I'd like to hear what you guys think, and I hope I didn't speak too long. Um, and I hope that you guys can hear me well too. So, yeah, thank you, and take it easy.